Bienvenidos al universo Cigar Fati. Today, we're diving into the story of one of history's absolute titans, a man you just can't picture without a cigar in hand, Winston Churchill. But his bond with cigars? Oh, it was way more than a simple habit. It was an obsession that, quite literally, reached for the sky. Okay, let's just jump right in with this question. I mean, think about it for a second. You're up there, 30,000 feet in the air, in a pressurized metal tube hurtling across the ocean. The air is thin, the rules are what they are. So, could you actually light up and enjoy a fine cigar? For pretty much anyone else on the planet, the answer is a hard no. Absolutely not.
But here's the thing about Winston Churchill. He wasn't like anyone else. You tell him something's impossible, and it's like you just threw down a challenge. And when it came to his cigars, the word impossible it wasn't part of the conversation. And look, this wasn't just about him wanting to bend the rules on some flight. We're talking about him defying the very laws of physics, often during some of the most critical moments of World War II. For Churchill, flying to these high-stakes meetings, the idea of going without a cigar, it just wasn't going to happen. So what's a guy like that to do? Well, he commissions a completely custom-made oxygen mask. And this wasn't just any mask. It had a special little hole built right into it, perfectly sized for his cigar. That's right. While everyone else is breathing in that recycled cabin air, Churchill is puffing away on a top-shelf Cuban. And this wasn't for show. For him, this was a necessity. It was a tool that helped him think, helped him strategize, and, well, helped him be Churchill. So let's keep going, because his obsession wasn't just about where he smoked, but how he smoked. His whole process was less of a habit and more like this intricate, almost sacred set of rituals. Honestly, any cigar aficionado today would be taking notes. All right, let's break this down. First off, no regular old matches for him. He insisted on using these extra long matches, imported all the way from Canada, just to get that perfect, even light. Second, he didn't use a cutter. Nope, he just used the end of another matchstick to punch a small hole in the cap. So simple, so effective. And third, and this is the real masterstroke, the bellybando. And this little trick is just pure practical genius. A bellybando was nothing more than a small strip of paper that he'd wrap around the head of the cigar, the end he was smoking. Why? So it wouldn't get all damp from his lips and start to unravel. It's just a brilliant, simple hack from a guy who truly knew his cigars. Now, if you think those rituals are something, just wait till you get a load of the sheer volume of his consumption. This was no casual hobby. Churchill managed his cigar supply with the same strategic focus he used to manage a war. On any given day, the British bulldog would smoke somewhere between 8 and 10 cigars. Just let that number sink in for a second. That's a full day's work for a lot of cigar rollers, all consumed by one man. And, this passion, it never let up. In 1964, the year before he died, records show he bought a mind-boggling 825 cigars. And that was just in a 6-month period. It just goes to show you, this was a lifelong dedication. And this wasn't some random hoarding either. Just look at the pattern here. He buys 250 in April, another 275 in June, and then settles into a steady rhythm of 100 per month after that. This was a man who planned his inventory. He was never, ever going to be caught without his most essential companion. But he wasn't just about quantity. He was a man of surprisingly varied taste. Of course, everyone knows about his legendary love for the super high-end Cuban Romeo Julietas. But then, when he was in the U.S., he wasn't above a good bargain, snapping up 1,000 Royal Derby Longfellows for less than 15 cents apiece. The man appreciated both the finest craftsmanship and a really, really good deal. And this quote right here, this just captures his personality perfectly. You've got his generosity, his exacting standards, and that brilliant flash of humor, all in one. He wanted his grandson to enjoy a fine smoke, of course, but he also made sure to keep the pecking order straight. The absolute best? Yeah, those were reserved for him. So, as you can see, this whole thing goes so much deeper than just lighting up tobacco. For Churchill, the cigar went on a journey. It started as one thing and evolved into this incredibly powerful personal symbol that the entire world came to recognize. It all started pretty simply, like it does for a lot of people. It was just a habit, a daily pleasure he picked up when he was a young man. But that habit very quickly grew into something more. It became a ritual. Those Canadian matches, the belly bandos, these weren't just quirks. They were deliberate, personal actions that grounded him, that helped him focus his mind right before he made decisions that would literally change the course of history. And then, finally, it became a symbol. In every photograph, in newsreels, in public appearances, that cigar became an extension of the man himself. It was a symbol of his defiance, his calm resilience, and his unwavering strength in the face of just unbelievable odds. And honestly, there is no single image that captures this better. Near the end of his life, being carried away on a stretcher, there he was, smiling, with the cigar clamped firmly in his jaw. It wasn't just an accessory, it was part of his very spirit, his constant companion, right to the very end. So, that kind of leaves us with one last thing to think about. We always talk about the cigar as Churchill's signature accessory. But what if we have it backwards? What if Winston Churchill was the cigar's ultimate expression? Bold, complex, and absolutely, completely unforgettable. Si te gustó, si lo disfrutaste, si aprendiste algo nuevo, suscríbete al canal porque recién comenzamos.